Hi, and welcome back to another AnyRPG Development Livestream. In this video series, you can watch the live development of the AnyRPG Engine, a free and open source role-playing game engine designed in Unity and written in C#. If you don't already have a copy of AnyRPG, you can pick one up from anyrpg.org/downloads in both Unity package and source code format. You can also find available for download at the same page A Lost Soul, the free game that I work on in these episodes. In this episode, we will be continuing some polishing, no pun intended, to our jewelry skill and also to our blacksmithing skills. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding different holdables using a bunch of free assets from the asset store, and I'll just demonstrate the problem really quick, and then I'll show what free assets we're going to be using to help fix this issue. So the problem right now is that if I have a character and my character is doing some crafting, they're always holding the same objects. So let's just jump into the game and see what that looks like, and then basically what we're going to do about it to fix it. So here's my character, and they're at the jewelry table here, and I can go open up the whetstone, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here so you can see. And if I make a polished blue gem, my character pulls out a hammer and a blue gem, and it looks pretty cool. But what if I want to make a polished purple gem? And I hit craft and I pull out a blue gem for some reason. So we're going to fix that. We're actually going to make it so that each individual recipe can override the holdables, so that I could, for example, put this purple crystal in my hand when I'm actually working with the purple gems, or making basically a polished purple gem. Similarly, in the game, we have iron bars, and when I'm blacksmithing, nothing actually really appears in my hand. My hand is actually completely empty. And so what I want to do is I want to actually have like different kind of bars. So we're going to have like iron, copper, bronze, and gold. And we're going to make all those using free assets, and then we're going to be able to actually hold those bars while we're crafting them. So let's take a look at what free assets from the asset store we'll be using for this. We'll be using the Fantasy Treasure Pack Lite by Lowly Poly, and it's got these super low poly ingot things here. But the really cool thing about it is that we don't really care about that, because we're going to use a bunch of textures from other packs in order to make these things look really good, even though they're kind of low poly, because they still have decently nice rounded corners. From the Mega Fantasy Props Pack by Carboose X, we will be using an iron material that's in there. It's one of the best iron materials that I found. From the Action RPG Melee Spear by Vibrant Core, we will be using a gold material. Once again, this is a super low poly thing, but it's got a really nice gold material that we can use on it. From the Real Materials Volume 0 Free Pack by Lex4Art, we'll be using copper and brass, and we'll just basically be using the brass for bronze because it's got like a really nice dark brass in here. One thing to note about this pack, it says file size is 2.4 gigs, but it's actually 3 individual 700 megs packs, one for each of the pipelines. So what happens is you download this and then you just import the 700 meg pack for your pipeline. In my case, I'm not using the new scriptable pipeline, so I use the standard one, and then you can just like delete the Unity package. So it's not really that big of a deal. This really cool Flooded Grounds by Sandro T. This is an absolutely amazing level. It's an absolutely huge, complete environment. But what it has that you can't really see in the screenshots here is some very cool rocks that actually kind of look like they're like gold ore sparkling through them. And then we have this Yughues Free Rocks by Nobiax and Yughues. And this one has some really cool ones. We're going to be using this one. It's got this reddish tint to it, which kind of makes it look like an iron ore, like I found here on Google. And then it's got like this one right here, which kind of has like a little bit of an orangish tint, and it's a brighter rock. And that actually looks a lot like these pictures of tin ore that I found on Google. So we'll be using those. And then the Sun Temple here has some rocks as well, and the rocks in the Sun Temple actually look pretty similar to this copper ore that I found on Google. And the Sun Temple is just an absolutely amazing pack. I think I've shown it a bunch of times in pretty much all my episodes recently, because the Sun Temple is a 100% complete environment with buildings with interiors, doors that open and close, and just a ton of props with it. And it's actually the capital city in the game right now. So let's get started, and I've already downloaded all this stuff and imported it into the game. So I think we'll start, this episode is going to be like 50% coding and 50% 50% content creation. So let's just thinking what's going to be the easiest thing to do. Let's get started by creating the ingots first. So in that fantasy treasure pack, there's this thing here. This is the original one. It's called Gold 01, and as you can see, it's kind of low poly looking. And I've made a duplicate of it in this folder here, and I've just called it AnyRPG Gold Ingot. Except for I've got the different material applied to it right now. So let's make a couple more duplicates of this. I'm going to Control D to duplicate it again, and again, and again, because we need a couple of different types of ingots. So the first type of ingot that we need is a copper ingot. Then we need a bronze ingot, and then we need an iron ingot, and then we need an actual gold ingot. Okay, so this one right here is the bronze, basically, and if we open it up, you'll see that the material that I'm using is actually this free brass from the set, the real materials set. So if we type in free, there's basically like aluminum, brass, copper, but the brass is so dark we can actually use it for bronze, because there are actually a couple of brasses that I have, and if you see the other brass that I have for the brass knuckles is way lighter, so this actually kind of works for the bronze. Let's go to the copper next. So we're just going to type in copper here for the material, and here's the copper material from that free real materials set. Whoops, sorry, I have the bronze ingot open. Let's Control Z that, and let's double click to open the right one. Get the copper ingot open, click on that, and then type in copper. There we go, and now we got the copper material. For the gold ingot, we will double click the gold ingot, open this up, and look for the gold material from that spear. There it is, spear gold. It's a nice gold material there. And then for the iron, we'll double click, we'll open up the ingot, and we'll search for the iron material. And the iron that I like the best was the iron from that Mega Fantasy Props pack. It's kind of got a cool texture to it. Okay, great. So now we have the ingots. Now let's go ahead and make all the mining nodes out of the rocks. So we have mining nodes already. For example, this yellow crystal mining node, iron mining node. So what I'll do is I'll just Control D to duplicate the iron mining node, and we will rename that to the copper mining node. The prefab profile will be the copper rock. We'll go ahead and create that after. The interactable name will be copper ore. The loot table will be copper mining node, and we'll have to create that, and the ability is mining. Great. We will Control D to duplicate our copper mining node, and we will call the next one the tin mining node. The prefab profile will be tin rock. We'll create that later. The interactable name is tin ore. The loot table is tin mining node. Finally, we will create the gold mining node. The prefab profile name will be gold rock. The interactable name will be gold ore for when we hover over. This will be what will show in our tooltip. And for the loot table, we'll have a loot table called gold mining node, which will control the drops. All right, so next up we want to actually create the prefab profiles for these. So we'll go to iron rock. We have iron rock prefab here, which is the one that we want. We're going to hit Control D to duplicate that, and we will create the copper rock prefab. We'll rename this to copper rock, and then we'll go find the copper rock from the Sun Temple, which was, I think it was rock_boulder. There we go. I think I wanted to use rock boulder A, and I'll just open this up a little bigger so that you can see it. So basically this is a really cool rock. All the rocks from the Sun Temple rock boulder have like these like nice yellow splotches on them that look like there's sort of copper ore running through these nodes here. So they're very nice looking rocks that we can use as mining nodes. So next, now that we've got the copper rock, and we'll swap out the iron rock. We need to actually change that out for one of Yughues' rocks. Right now we're using this rock big flat, which doesn't really look very iron. It's more sort of like just the first one that I could find when I was originally making the game. So let's use an iron rock that has some nice reddish hues to it. So we'll go to the iron rock prefab. And we'll find that Yughues rock 5. I think this is the right one. Rock 05 prefab. Yeah, perfect. This is the iron rock. This is the one that's got like the sort of reddish ore running through it. Okay, great. So now we've got the iron rock and the copper rock. Now we need to make the tin rock. So I will Control D on the copper rock prefab, and we will make one called the tin rock prefab. Change the resource name to tin rock, and in this case I think the rock we wanted was rock 03. I could be wrong about that. Let me go look up which rock we want here. We'll find the Yughues rocks. It was rock space 03. Oh, that's it. Yeah, I was looking at it from the wrong angle. Okay, perfect. So this is the right one. This is the tin rock. It's rock 03. So we'll go to the tin rock prefab right here, and looking for rock 03. Yeah. Okay, great. And then finally we need the gold rock prefab. So we'll Control D on that. And we'll set the name as gold rock prefab. And these ones were called basically the cobble rocks. And I'll just choose this guy right here, cobble rock A, and then we'll just take a look at that for a second and you can see what I mean. So basically it's got like these sort of like shiny flecks through it that kind of could be gold. It's like the most sort of gold looking rock that I could find basically out of all the free rocks on the Unity asset store. So now we've got our rock prefabs made. So now we need to make our loot tables so that we can actually drop the ores. So we have the iron mining node loot table. Perfect. So what we're going to do is we're just going to Control D to duplicate the iron mining node loot table. And we will call it the copper mining node loot. And then change the name up here to copper mining node. We will set the size of the drop table to, you know what, well, I'm just going to delete the middle array element here. This basically gives you one guaranteed drop and then a chance of like between 1 and 3 extras. So we'll actually just keep that the way it is. But in this case, what happened there? It brought back that. That was neat. Okay. But in the case of these, we just want copper ore instead of iron ore. So this will give us basically between 2 to 4 copper ore. So next thing that we want to do is we want to Control D to duplicate that and make the tin mining node loot. And we'll change that to tin mining node. And then this thing's going to drop tin ore. Okay, and then we will Control D to duplicate that, and we will make the let's see, gold mining node loot. So we'll change that to gold mining node and make it drop gold ore and gold ore. Okay, great. So now we've got the ores, but we don't have it actually create the item for them yet. So we have the iron ore item here. And I'm going to Control D to duplicate that. And we are going to create the copper ore item. So we'll call it copper ore. I'm going to change the resource description profile here to copper ore, and we'll need to change that ourselves. The item level on copper will be 8, just for the price of these things, and I think I want this lower than that even. We'll have 10 copper per level for this, which will make the purchase price of this copper ore 80 copper, basically. For the iron ore item, same thing. Basically, we'll set copper as the purchase price and set it as 10 copper per level. The item level of iron, though, iron's going to be like the 3rd tier. The first tier is level 8, the second tier is level 12, the third tier is like level 20. So that will set the price of that if we put in a vendor. I'm going to Control D to duplicate the iron ore item, and now we need to make the tin ore item. Tin is part of the 2nd tier, so therefore it will be priced at level 12. And the resource description profile will be tin ore, and the name will be tin ore. The resource description profile basically contains the image and any like regionalized language settings. So we're going to Control D to duplicate the tin ore item. And now finally we want the gold ore item. Gold for now, we'll just make that part of the current top tier, so item level 20, and keep the price scaling the same. We'll set the name to gold ore and the resource description to gold ore. Now we want to actually go to those resource descriptions. And I think I have like gathering or crafting or something in here under the icons. think. Yeah, okay. So under item, let's create a new subfolder called gathering. We will move the old rock one underneath there, and then we will Control D to duplicate that. And we're going to call this one copper ore. Change the name to copper ore. And then I will duplicate this and make tin ore, gold ore, and iron ore. And we'll change the names on these. Iron ore, gold ore, copper ore, and tin ore. Okay, now let's actually find some icons that are ores. So we've got a few of them here. Let's see. Ore 01. Which one looks like the tin ore? These look like tin, basically. So we'll find the 256 version. You know what? Just a second. What are we looking at right now? We're actually looking at copper. So basically, like these ones look like the gold. Actually, that's really cool that we've got an iron ore there. Let's just see if we have any gold ore. We do. We don't have any specifically copper ores, so here we will use this for the copper ore, so ore 05. Okay, good. And then for the gold ore, actually we will use this, ore 04 for the gold ore, because that looks pretty gold. For the iron ore, we'll use these darker ones here, these ore 02s, because these very much look like iron. And this is the HD icons pack free. I don't think that I remembered to link that, so HD icons pack free. If we look at the package content here, I don't see any ores in here. Ah, you know what? It's the free volume 2. There we go. I see the ores right there. Okay, awesome. So this is these ores are actually coming from this HD icons pack free volume 2. And I will definitely have the link for that in the description as well. Very cool pack with the ores in it for sure. Okay, so next up, finally, the tin ore. And the tin ore was the first tier of ore, these guys here, ore 01. Okay, awesome. So now we have all the icons, we have all our items, and now we need to make the ingots. So the actual ingot items, I think I actually called it iron bar. I did. I called the item iron bar. So this is the iron bar description. This is the iron bar recipe. We'll need to create the recipes too, and this is the iron bar item. So let's start with the items. I'm going to Control D to duplicate the iron bar item, and we will make the copper bar item. We got copper bar, a bar of pure copper. The resource description will be copper bar. We'll have to create that. In this case, it's going to be 1 silver per bar, and once again, this is copper, so the item level is 8 for the price scaling. For the iron bar, we'll call it a bar of, you know what, an ingot. An ingot of pure iron. Resource description, iron bar is good. Iron is 3rd tier, which is item level 20. And we'll have 1 silver per level as the price scale for that. Control D on the iron bar item to duplicate it, and we will make this next one we don't have a tin bar, we have a bronze bar because the tin plus the copper equals the bronze. So resource name is going to be bronze bar, an ingot of, bronze isn't really pure, but yeah, an ingot of pure bronze. Resource description is going to be bronze bar, and we'll make that. Bronze item level 12 because it's 2nd tier. Finally, we're going to control D to duplicate that and make the gold bar item. Set the name up here to gold bar, an ingot of pure gold. And the resource description is gold bar. Gold will be scaling at item level 20. Funny enough, a bar of gold will cost us 20 silver. Item quality, I don't think we're going to set that. This is like white or common, basically. Okay, so now we need the actual descriptions. So let's look at the iron bar description, which is once again just the way that we're going to be handling our resources here. We're going to create a new subfolder here called crafting and move the iron bar into the crafting so that these are a little easier to find. We'll have the copper bar description, the gold bar description, and finally the bronze bar description. We'll change the names on them to match, so we have bronze bar. And here, let's see, I don't have bar as a thing. I've got ingots. I have 2 types of ingots, basically, like gold and iron, I think. But you know what? I think I actually have more things. Like this actually kind of looks like an iron ingot. So let's go rename 5 here to iron ingot. And let's just see if we have any other ingots or bars in our collection here. So, wow, I downloaded a bunch of new icons. Apparently, I actually have like cloth and fur icons now, which is really cool. Anyway, so we know we have iron, we know we have gold. We're looking for bars that look like copper and bars that look like bronze, basically. Oh, this is cool. So whatever this set is right here, it has gold, silver, and iron for ingots. This is another one of the sets that I downloaded recently here. Let's see, these start at like 0, so let's just go and look at the list here. Yeah, those are the only ingots on this list, and we already have gold and we already have iron, so we don't really need those. We need bronze and copper. Although honestly, I could actually use this for the copper since the other gold one is a little nicer, like a little shinier. Let's keep looking, see if we find anything else that looks like ingots. I found there's like this site online here, let me see if I can find it again. I think it was like opengameart.org. And basically on opengameart.org, if we look at, I think, 2D art here, and then there's like an icon section or something. Anyway, basically, yeah, here we go, like 700 plus RPG icons. So there's just like a crazy amount of free icons on this site. It's pretty cool. And I downloaded several hundred of them. So yeah, let's keep looking for our bronze bar here. Let's see if we find anything better for it. We're looking for bronze and copper. So we've got a bunch of iron, a couple of golds. I don't think we have anything that looks like bronze or copper though. Yeah, okay. Well, not a big deal, because for the bronze, we can use this gold one, and for the copper, you know what? We'll just use the gold one as well. Because why not? Okay, awesome. So now we have semi-unique, except for this gold bar here. It needs to actually use the proper gold bar. So we'll change that up to this big shiny gold ingot here. Okay, so now let's see if we have anything else that we need to create. We have the iron bar recipe. So we need recipes now for making copper bar. And we'll set the description to copper for blacksmithing. The recipe will take 1 copper ore, and we'll create 1 copper bar. We'll Control D to duplicate that. We'll make the bronze bar recipe. We'll set the resource name to bronze bar. Set the description to bronze for blacksmithing. The crafting materials, it will take 1 copper ore, and this needs to be spelled properly, copper. You know what, I think I need to fix it right there too. Yeah, copper needs another P. And then we also need 1 tin ore. The item output name will be a bronze bar, and we'll actually get 2 of them because we put in some copper and some tin, so we should get like twice as much back. And then finally we'll need the gold bar, so Control D on our copper bar recipe. And we'll make a gold bar recipe. Resource name of gold bar. Gold for blacksmithing. You know what, it can be jewelry, whatever it can. I don't really care for now. I'll just keep that the same. We'll worry about the description later. So cool, so now we got gold ores that can make gold bars. And finally, what I think we want to do is we want to update our recipes a little bit. So we have our Earth Dwellers necklace recipe, and currently it's taking an iron bar, but because Earth Dweller is tier 2, we're going to make it require 1 bronze bar instead. And we have our ancient necklace recipe, and we will ask our ancient necklace recipe to require, actually iron bar is okay. It's actually the initiates necklace recipe. This one should take the copper bar because this is the tier 1 recipe. Okay, that's pretty good. So now what we want to do is, I think I have a crafting supplies vendor collection here, and we've got iron ore on it. Let's duplicate that. We'll add copper ore to it. We'll duplicate that. We'll add tin ore to it. We'll duplicate the iron ore and we'll add gold ore to the list, and now we should be able to actually see these ores for sale on our vendor. Okay, I think it's time to see if all of those scriptable objects that we created worked. So let's press play and just try to log into the game. I'll take one of my characters and I'll head over to Birch Grove where the vendor is. It looks like I missed one of the descriptions here, so duplicate key name tin rock. So we have a tin rock prefab, an iron rock prefab, a gold rock prefab, which needs to be named tin rock. And also it looks like iron bar. It looks like we didn't update one of these. This is bronze bar. The copper bar should say copper bar. Okay, let's try that now. Okay, so we want someone that's in Birch Grove. I don't think I actually have anybody in Birch Grove like this one, but I need to delete her because she's broken. So we'll just grab her. And we'll teleport her to Birch Grove. Actually, we'll teleport to the Soul Forge, and then we will take our dragon mount and ride over to Birch Grove. This dragon is so huge. It's like you have to zoom out super far so it's not getting in the way of the camera. Alright, heading over to Birch Grove now. Oh wow. Whoa. Wow, that was neat. Okay, so basically there's this giant rock, and this is the rock for the iron mining node. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to set the scale like way down on it to like, I don't know, 1/100th or something like that. Because actually I can't even get over to the vendor right now. So that's good. We'll just save the game right here. We'll jump out. And then we'll go update that rock. In the meantime, actually, I'm gonna just fix a couple of these nag messages that I got here. I recently updated my units so that they use these new audio sources, and if you make a reference to them, then just quicker for startup. Okay, so let's deal with a rock. If we look at the iron rock prefab, we want to spawn it at 0.1 scale here, I think. Let's actually go to the iron mining node here. What we'll do is we'll just temporarily pull in one of these iron rocks. We'll go into the scene. The iron mining node has a box collider on it, and we can see right now that this prefab is just way too huge. I don't even think 0.1 is going to be small enough. I think it is going to need to be like 0.01. Okay, a little bigger than that. Let's just set the box collider to a size of 1 by 1 by 1 and a y value of 0.5. There, that'll give us a better idea. So we want the rock to be a little bigger, so maybe 0.025. Yeah, that's not bad, because this will be about a meter tall. So we'll want to move the position of the rock up to like 0.5. Perfect. There we go. So that's pretty good. We'll want to set the size of the box collider a little bigger so that it actually encompasses the rock. So let's set it to 2 and 2. There, that's pretty good. It doesn't need to be perfect, basically. Okay, so these are the values that we're going to be using then for the position of the rock is a scale of 0.025 and a y position of 0.5. So we'll just delete that out of there, and then we'll go to the iron rock prefab, set the scale to 0.025. And position of 0.5, position of 0.5. Okay, so now we should properly have the correct size in that node. Let's go jump into the game and try that out. I think there's actually a bug where it's going to ignore the scale when it spawns it, so we'll fix that if it exists as well. So now we've got our warrior over here at Birch Grove. Yeah, so there's definitely there's a bug where it's ignoring the scale. So let's just go into the code here and set it scale when we spawn it. So we have our mining node, iron mining node, and this is going to spawn the iron rock. So it's actually the interactable that's responsible for this. And interactables are actually spawnables, so this is where we're going to be getting the reference to the prefab profile. And let's just find that and look for the code that instantiates this. So here, when we instantiate it, we're doing the game object, the position, the rotation, and the parent. I don't think we can set scale as any of these overloads, so we are going to need to set the local scale separately. So to do that, we will do spawn reference dot spawn reference dot transform dot local scale equals, and in this case we want prefab profile dot my scale. Now let's see, there was another instantiate command. These are both the same one. Okay, good. So let's save that. Now we are properly doing the position, scale, and rotation when we spawn these objects. And if we jump back into the game, we should see this thing properly spawning at the correct size now instead of being this ridiculously humongous rock. Okay, much better. Now I don't have a humongous rock, and I come over here and I've just got like a nice iron ore rock here. You know what? The rock looked like way redder when I was looking at it in the pictures. Oh well, it doesn't really matter though. Let's do some iron here, and let's see if we get some iron ore out of this. We get some iron ore. Not bad. Our iron ores are still using the old iron descriptions, but that's fine because I didn't update it. Okay, nice. The rock isn't despawning, but I'll deal with that later. Or maybe it did. Did it despawn and just respawn too quickly? Nope, it's not despawning at all. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix that, but that's not a big deal. So the next thing that we want to do is we want like to craft some bars. So we're gonna go here and just see if we have enough money to buy some crafting supplies. Perfect, we do. This tin ore here is like super cheap. We'll buy a few of those. We got iron ore. We got gold ore. This is great. We got some copper ore. Those are really cheap. Okay, awesome. So now I have gold ore, copper ore, tin ore, and iron ore. So the next thing we want to do is we want to actually use a holdable that's going to allow us to hold one of these bars in our hand when we craft this thing. So let's go into blacksmithing here, and we can see we've got a copper bar here. And if we go around and take a look when we craft, we can see basically we're holding absolutely nothing in our hand right now, which isn't what we want. So let's jump out of the game and make it so that we can actually hold something in our hand. So when we do, let's say, I think it's like jewel crafting, right? One of these is an actual action that we can perform. So we have jewelry description, jewelry audio, jewelry animation, another jewelry audio, and a jewelry craft ability. This is the one we're looking for. Okay, so in our jewelry we have two holdable object names, a jewelry gem and a jewelry hammer. So what we want is basically to copy what we're doing with the jewelry gem, except for do it with an ingot. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have this jewelry gem prefab right here. So what I want to do is I want to make an ingot prefab reference. So let's go ahead and just do the copper ingot prefab. Call it copper ingot. And honestly, I'm just actually going to leave these values exactly where they are because this was already designed to put something in the left hand pretty much. So what we'll do is we'll actually grab the copper ingot. So AnyRPG copper ingot. There we go. And then let's do the same thing. We'll make, actually, you know what? I want to check if that actually even works first. I want to get the angles right because all the ingots are basically going to be at the same angle. So now what we want to do is we want to go back to the blacksmithing. And I'm going to just rename these to make them a little easier to see. So this is the blacksmithing animation, blacksmithing audio, blacksmithing craft ability. Perfect. This is the one that we want. So we have blacksmithing hammer, and we want copper ingot. So let's save that and just go try to craft anything because everything should result in us actually holding the copper ingot in our hands. While we're at it, actually, I think, you know, maybe what I want to do here. We have this prefab called like a handle template. And I think I actually want to use this because this is a really good way to visualize how the copper ingot is going to work. So let's take this weapon handle template and we'll call this the copper ingot handle. And what we'll do actually is we'll open up the copper ingot handle and we'll pull in the copper ingot. Okay, this is great. So what we can see basically is if you can imagine our character's hand is in a fist, then Z forward is sort of the front of the fist. And if you can imagine this is like a handle and he would usually be carrying a sword in it. So I think what we want to do then is we actually just want to take this ingot here and just spin it that way. So then if our character was holding this in his hand, then basically the ingot would be like right in his hand right here. Perfect. I'm pretty happy with that. And actually, do you know what I think I'm going to do even? We have another template. The UMA offhand fist template, and this one goes in the left hand and it already sets the position and rotation properly and it's actually designed to work with the handles. So I'm actually just going to duplicate that offhand fist template, and honestly this is going to be the copper ingot prefab. So let's see, this original one right here is up in the crafting folder. I'm actually just going to delete that. And then I'm going to pull this one in way up to that folder. And then we're going to go up to that folder. We have this. And instead of the brass knuckle handle, we're just going to rename this to copper ingot, and this is where we're actually just going to pull in the AnyRPG copper ingot handle. We'll go to the copper ingot. Actually, you know what? Okay, let's just save that and let's just try it. I just want to see if that part works. Because if that works, then we're just going to duplicate this and we're just going to swap out all the ingots and they'll all be in the right position in the character's hand. So we'll press play. Go find our character here. Okay, we're going to make a copper bar. Okay, there we go. Very cool. And the character's got a copper ingot in their hand, but it looked really, really super tiny. Let's maybe zoom in here and try that again. Okay. So basically, we actually want it to be facing downwards, not sideways, and oh, it already is facing the right direction. I think I just want it to be like a little bit bigger. It's really small. I think I actually want it to be like cartoonishly large. So yeah, okay, perfect. So the angle is correct. So what we'll do is we're gonna scale this thing up. Maybe not quite that big. And then maybe we can move this like a little bit. All right, and let's just undo the handle on that and then jump back into the game and just see how that looks. Oh, okay, yeah, that's way better. What I do want to do though is I do want to rotate that because I noticed that it's kind of sitting at Z forward, but with my character's hand at Z forward, I actually want it to be facing like at like X sideways or something like that. So let's do that. Nope, what happened? Copper ingot handle, there we go. Okay. So we'll turn the handle back on here for a second, and we can see that basically it's sort of facing forward. And what I want to do is I actually want to rotate this. So we'll rotate it that way, and then move it like down a little bit. And then the character should theoretically be holding it like sort of under their hand, more like in the palm of their hand. Because basically he doesn't want to hold this thing like a gun. He wants to more hold it like in the cup of his hand. I think that's a little better. It's kind of hard to see. Let's try that again. Oh yeah, perfect. There we go. Now he's holding it like in the palm of his hand. Awesome. Okay, so this is very cool. So now we can hold a copper bar when we're making copper, but the problem is that if I made a bunch of gold, we would still be holding the copper bar. So we are going to fix that. And let's see, we have our crafting ability, for example, blacksmithing. I'm just going to rename these so I know what they are. Perfect. Okay, so we have the blacksmithing craftability, and it's got these two holdable objects right here. So we want to go into the code and we want to make it so that we can override those. So basically you can see crafting ability is actually direct ability. Direct ability is actually instant effect ability, which means that all of this stuff is going to be coming basically from length effect. I think actually no, just right from like base ability here. So we have like holdable objects. So what we want to do is we need a way to override the holdable objects. So let's copy that code right here. And then basically we need to actually put the holdable object in the recipe. So our recipe is the copper bar recipe. Actually, you know, let's just do the tin bar. Right, it's actually called bronze bar. Okay, so we want the bronze bar recipe here. We got crafting materials, craftability. We will need to add holdable object overrides to this. So we'll put in the list of holdable object names here. And now we can actually define them at the recipe level. And we'll let that compile so they show up in the inspector. So the item that I want, basically I want the crafting hammer to be used like normal, but I want the ingots to override basically whatever's in the left hand. In fact, I think even for blacksmithing, we'll just actually by default have nothing in the left hand at all. So here, this is the bronze bar, so we'll just be using the holdable object, the bronze bar. For the copper bar recipe, we will use the copper bar holdable object. For the gold bar recipe, we will use the gold bar holdable object. And for the iron bar recipe, we will use the iron bar holdable object. Let's save that, and now we need a way to actually get these things. So for crafting, let's see how this works. Essentially, we cast a craft ability. In order to perform the recipe, So let's start at the recipe and just see how this code is flowing. So we've got a recipe in here. We have a reference to the craftability. Let's see where that's actually used. So we use this in the crafting UI. Actually, let's see craftability. At some point here, these items actually enter our inventory. And I need to find the code where they're actually doing that. Wow, that's neat. I can't actually find the code in here that actually instantiates the item. And puts it into your inventory. Let's find all references to the my output here. Oh, here we go. Here it is. Basically, we're using remove item as a check if basically, no, that's definitely not it. Wait a minute, where? Wow, neat. It's like magic, this stuff just appears in your inventory. Actually, I think that is the code right there. Oh, there it is right there. Inventory manager add item. Yeah, okay. So there we go. We're adding the item and then we're removing the materials. Okay, so So essentially, what happens here basically is we cast an ability. The ability is just going to grab its regular prefabs. And essentially the ability goes ahead and casts, and when it completes, it calls the craft next item wait. Which basically waits a single frame and then calls this code here, which then checks the crafting queue to see if there was anything in it, and then puts this item into your bag. So what we need to do then basically is when we cast craftability, we pretty much need to check the status of the crafting queue. And grab the holdable items out of the recipe. So let's go ahead and do that then. To do that in craftability, we'll have to perform an override. Because we'll be querying this ability for its animations, the holdable object names. So what we want to do is we actually want to override holdable objects on craftability. So if we go down to base ability and we find all references to holdable objects, we actually access it through the list of my holdable objects. This is the only way we're getting there. Perfect. So we can make this a virtual then. And this is where we actually spawn the stuff, I think. Spawn ability objects, my holdable objects. Perfect. Okay. So what we'll do is we will make a public override my holdable objects. By default, we'll just return the ability's holdable objects. If our let's see, this is just craftability, so it's completely generic. Yeah. So basically, if our crafting queue contains something, let's see if I can find that code again. I think I didn't keep the file open that had all this stuff in it. No, okay. So basically, if our crafting queue contains an item, let's go back until I get to the UI manager. There we go, crafting UI. If our crafting queue contains an item, then we're going to grab its holdable objects and return those instead. So if our crafting queue, and actually our crafting queue comes from the crafting UI. So maybe we should, let's see, crafting queue. Do we actually expose crafting queue publicly? We do not. Let's expose that publicly. So I believe crafting UI is a singleton. Perfect. So what we can do is check if crafting UI.myInstance.craftingQueue.count is greater than 0, then we're going to try to get the holdable objects from it. So then we will, and actually in this case, I think what I want to do is I actually want to merge base.holdable objects with crafting queue.holdable objects. And that way we can get the hammer from the ability, like it'll always have the hammer, but we can get the gold ingots from just the gold. So let's do it that way. So basically what we'll do is we'll make a new list, list of prefab profile, return list equals and in this case, can I just go base.myHoldableObjects? Now, what I don't know is, yeah, you know what? What I think I actually want to do, we'll just make this a new list for starters. So this will be a new list of prefab profile, and for each this is a list of prefab profiles, right? For each prefab profile, in base.myHoldableObjects, return list.add prefab profile. And then do the same thing basically in crafting queue 0 dot, and I don't think I actually exposed this. No, we want the recipe. What is this? Do we get a recipe back? This is a list of recipe. This should give us a recipe. I think I just didn't expose holdable objects. So let's expose it. Holdable objects. Perfect. Also in setup scriptable objects, we will need to actually get a reference to the list of holdable objects. So we'll do that the same way that we do in base ability, because we already have code to do that. So we'll just copy this code out here and stick it in the setup scriptable objects method of the recipe. And then finally we should be able to access it. Holdable objects. Perfect. And then we will also add those all to the return list, and then we will return the return list. Okay, this tiny little change here should hopefully allow us to go ahead and spawn holdable objects based on the ability. So we have the copper bar. Did I do with the bronze bar? No. We have our copper bar handle somewhere. That's what I call copper ingot prefab, no wonder. Okay, we're going to Control D to duplicate the copper ingot prefab and call it the bronze ingot prefab. We're going to Control D on the bronze ingot prefab and call it the iron ingot prefab. And finally, we're going to Control D on the iron ingot prefab and call it the gold ingot prefab. Change the name here to gold ingot. Change the name here to bronze ingot. Change the name here to iron ingot. Now we actually have to go make handles for those things. So we're going to pull the copper ingot handle out into our Lost Soul prefabs. I don't think I have like holdable objects here, so neat. I only have weapons as holdables. Oh, okay. I have interactables for some reason. Technically, these are totally not interactables. So let's actually pull crafting out, make it its own thing. No, you know what? Those actually are interactables. I'm going to create a new folder here called holdables. And I'm going to create a new folder called crafting, and then we'll pull the copper ingot handle over into there. Okay, great. So now we can Control D to duplicate the copper ingot handle, calling it the bronze ingot handle. Duplicate that again. Make the gold ingot handle. Control D again, and make the iron ingot handle. We'll open up the bronze ingot handle. We'll take the copper ingot. We will pull in the AnyRPG bronze ingot. We will take the copper ingot, copy the component, take the bronze ingot, paste the component values, and delete the copper ingot. We'll now open up the iron ingot handle. We will pull in the iron ingot, take the copper ingot, copy the component, go to the iron ingot, paste the component values, delete the copper ingot, and now we have a nice iron ingot. Finally, we'll do the same thing with the gold ingot. We'll open up the gold ingot handle. We will pull in the gold ingot. We will right-click on the copper ingot and copy the component, go to the gold ingot and paste the component values of the transform, delete the copper ingot, and now we have a nice gold ingot. Okay, so now what we want to do is we've got the gold bar recipe. Actually, you know what? It looks like I already set all the holdables for that already. So bronze bar, copper bar, gold bar. Perfect. I think it's time to test this out. I think we've got everything in place that we need, and now we should be able to actually have different ingots in our hand. So could not find holdable object bronze bar. Okay, so we don't have the bronze bar prefab. and that's because it's actually called the bronze ingot prefab. So, holdable object name, bronze ingot. And that should not be ignot, it should be ingot. There we go. And in the copper bar recipe, we'll be holding a copper ingot. In the gold bar recipe, we'll be holding a gold ingot. And in the bronze ingot, copper ingot, gold ingot, where's our iron one? Iron ingot. There we go. Okay. I think that's better. Let's try that out. Okay, so my master crafter over here is now going to try to craft a copper bar. Looks pretty copperish. Let's try to craft a bronze bar. Still looks maybe a little copperish. How about the gold one? You know what? I think we're still doing copper for everything. And I think this is potentially because actually, if I look at the blacksmithing craftability, I still have the copper ingot in there. That's why. So basically the copper ingot was like overwriting the other thing, I think. Okay, great. So now that we've taken the copper ingot out of the blacksmithing ability, let's go see if we can actually get the right colored ingots to show up. Okay, so we're going to go try to make a gold bar right off the bat. Just a second, is that gold? That doesn't look very gold to me. It actually kind of still looks like the copper one. Okay, let's look at our character's hands here, because it's actually kind of hard to see. So I am definitely spawning a copper ingot. I no longer have that, so let's go back and look at the recipe again. Okay, this is supposed to be spawning. Oh, you know what? What if I look at the copper ingot prefab and it's referring to the copper ingot handle? Yeah, that's what I forgot to do. The bronze ingot prefab should be referring to the bronze ingot handle. The gold ingot prefab should be referring to the gold ingot handle, and the iron ingot prefab should be referring to the iron ingot handle. Okay, that's a lot better. Let's save that and try again. Okay, one more time. Copper bar, craft. Got a copper bar. Good, no problem. Okay, bronze bar, craft. Is that any darker? Let me just see. I think maybe it is this time. Kind of looks like the bronze ingot. Yeah, I'm seeing a bronze ingot here. Okay, let's try this shiny one, the gold one. Oh yeah, that's shiny, that's gold. That's beautiful. Oh, cool, it's working. All right, and finally, we're gonna craft an iron bar here. Let's do the iron bar. There we go. Now we got an iron bar in our hands. Okay, this is amazing. This is awesome. So now, now we can do the same thing with like jewel crafting. We could basically, let's just do this here for a second. So I can do jewelry at this table. Let's do the polished purple gem. I actually really want to do this with the gem. So basically, what I want to do is I want to take the copper ingot handle and I want to Control D to duplicate that. And I want to call it the polished purple gem handle. And I want to open this prefab up and let's just put the handle back on it so we can see. There we go. The character's going to be basically holding it underneath their hand in sort of that direction there. So what we want is the purple gem. Now the purple gem is actually coming from see if I can even find it here. I think it's not actually called purple gem. Let's just go look for it. This was from one of the props sets that we had last time. It might actually even just be called gem. There's a whole pile of them. Ton of them. Yeah, here we go. I think this is actually the set. Perfect. So if we find this set, we will find purple, gems purple, and I'm pretty sure that I used gem 05. So this is the one we want. We're going to pull in gem 05 here. Gem 05 is absolutely stunningly humongous. So we're going to take gem 05, we're going to shrink it down to 0.1 on all axes. You know what? Let's have it sort of cartoonishly big like this copper ingot here. So why don't we do 0.2 on all axes? Yeah, that's good. We're going to rotate it no, let's try that again, 0.2. Then we're going to get out of there. Then we're going to click on the gem and then we're going to rotate it like 90 degrees here. And then we're going to like pull it down, and now we can get rid of the copper ingot and we can hold this beautiful gem in our hand when we are crafting. You know what? I want this even bigger. Maybe not quite that big. There we go. Now this will be like this sort of cartoonishly huge purple gem. So next up we want to do the same thing for the polished yellow gem. We actually need to make a new handle, so polished purple gem handle. We will Control D, make the polished yellow gem handle. We'll open up that prefab. We'll select gem 05 and we will instead pull in the yellow gem 05. We'll grab the original gem 05, copy the component, go to gem 051, paste the component values, delete the original gem 05, and now we have a nice polished yellow gem handle. So now what we can do is we can actually make holdable objects for those. So what I'm going to do is just go to the copper ingot prefab. I'm going to Control D, and I'm going to call this the polished yellow gem prefab. I'm going to Control D again and call this one the polished purple gem prefab. Alright, and for the polished yellow gem, I will give it the yellow gem handle. For the polished purple gem, I will give it the purple gem handle. And then I think I forgot to actually remove the handles, disable them on those. So we'll disable the purple gem handle, disable the yellow gem handle. Great, and now we just need to update the recipes. So we'll go into the polished yellow gem recipe, add a polished yellow gem handle. We'll go into the polished purple gem recipe, add a polished purple gem handle. And then what we actually want to do is we want to go to jewel crafting, jewel craft ability. We actually want to remove the jewelry gem entirely. We will then go look at the jewelry gem prefab. We will rename the jewelry gem prefab to the blue stone prefab. Call it the blue stone. And then we need to actually refer to this in the recipe. So we'll go to the polished blue gem. And what I'm doing with the blue gem here is the blue gem gets a raw blue stone, but the purple and yellow gem recipes get the shiny ones because I don't actually have raw purple and yellow stones that would look good fitting in the character's hand. So let's save that and let's press play and let's test this out and see if it works. Let's see if we now have polished yellow gems and polished purple gems in our hands when we attempt to craft those items. So go into Birch Grove here. Just a second, there's an issue, and apparently I somehow lost my my error pause here. So let's see what the issue was. Could not find character class blue stone while initializing polished blue gem. What? Oh. Oh. Wow, I totally added that to the wrong thing. I was supposed to add that to the polished blue gem recipe, and I added it to the item. Let's try that again. Polished blue gem recipe is going to get the blue stone. We'll save that and press play. Okay, great. So we're back. And we're going to go to jewelry, and we're going to try to make a polished blue gem. Okay, the polished blue gem is a little small. It's kind of super tiny in your hand to the point where you can barely even see it. Let's spin around and maybe I can get a view where we can see it. There we go. Yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. It's working. Let's do the purple one. Oh, there we go. We got a nice shiny purple crystal in our hand. I am happy with that. And let's do the yellow one. There we go. Yellow crystal in our hand. Very, very cool. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is I've added the iron mining nodes. Let's just go into crystal mine and add the tin mining nodes to the mine here. So we'll go into the scene, just hit F on anything in there. So we'll come back down here to basically like the entrance of the mine, and we'll stick like a tin mining node right there. So tin mining node. And let's actually just open up the tin mining node and look at the tin rock, which is rock 03. And pull it in here because I have a feeling that it's going to be way too big. Yeah, so I think we're going to need to do the same thing with this rock 03. Set it down to like 0.025. And we'll actually want to set the Y position of this down to like negative something apparently. Oh, you know what? This box is still the wrong size. Okay, we're going to try this at 111 with a positive Y value of 0.5, which gives us a much better sized box. Okay, that's a little better. So this tin mining node is like 3 times as big as it needs to be. So maybe we will do 0.01, 0.01, 0.01. Yeah, that's a little better. This can be a tiny little mining node, like less than a meter tall. Okay, so what we want is we basically want these values in the tin rock prefab. So we'll remove those. We'll go to tin rock. And we'll just set the scale down to 0.01, 0.01 everywhere. Okay, we'll save that and we'll jump back into the game. And we'll run our character over to the crystal mine there and just make sure that we can actually go mine some tin from that tin mining node. You know what? We're actually not going to be able to. There's a reason. If we look at the, or did I already add? No, I added the loot table maybe. You know what? Let's just go try. I think I actually, yeah, now that I remember, I actually did create those loot tables at the beginning of the episode. So this actually should work. So we'll go load up our guy over here in Birch Grove. We'll hop on our dragon here and just go make a quick trip over to the crystal mine. And here we have a tin ore. And beauty, I got 4 pieces of tin ore in my backpack. Oh, okay, very, very cool. All right, so let's save that. And finally, we need to go harvest some gold and some iron. So we'll go hide. Oh, you know what? We already did iron. So we actually need copper, really. So we'll go to the copper mining node. Open up the prefab. Fix the box size, 0.5, 1, 1, 1. then we'll find the copper ore and our copper ore needs a copper rock. So our rock is the rock boulder A. We'll pull that onto the mining node. Our rock boulder A needs its transform reset. If we look at the mining node, the rock boulder A is a little big, so let's shrink it down. Perfect. So now it's a 1 meter tall rock boulder A. Okay, good. So what we need to do then is we'll delete that and make sure that its scale is just set down to 0.1 for everything. So the copper rock prefab just set scale to 0.1 everywhere. We'll save that. And actually what we want to do, since the birch grove is technically the first tier, we've got some mining nodes here and I want to replace these all. So let's see if I can find them here. Do I have them under props? I do. Gathering nodes, mining nodes. Okay, perfect. So we've got 4 iron mining nodes. We're going to do some copper mining nodes. I'm just going to pull one into the scene. I'm going to duplicate it 4 times. I'm going to take the original mining node, copy its transform, paste the component values, and delete. I'm going to take the second one, copy its transform, go to the second copper node, paste the component values, delete the original, go to the third iron mining node, copy the component, go to third copper mining node, paste component values, delete that one, go to the final iron mining node, copy the component, go to the copper mining node, paste the component values, and delete that. Perfect. So now we can save that. And let's go check if the copper is working. So we'll go back to the load game manager here. And we'll press play. We will load up Birch Grove, and then we will go try to mine some copper. We got this guy over here in the crystal mine. We'll just have to exit the mine here. So we'll turn around and touch the exit gate and hopefully get teleported back to the correct spot in Birch Grove. Excellent. Now we'll hop on our dragon, go take a ride back. Actually, you know what? We can just ride around the level and look, see if there's any of these mining nodes. Got some, not a whole lot. I think because there's only like 4 of them here. There we go. Let's go over here. You know what? I see one showing up on our radar. Okay, we'll just go to the base because you know what? We know there's one in the base and my radar system sucks and I have to improve the mini-map. Anyway, there we go. Perfect. Here's some copper and it looks kind of like copper, so we're just gonna hack away at it. And there we go. We got some copper ore. Perfect. So finally, the last thing we need to do is get some gold ore. So let's save our game. Let's go make the gold ore. So to do that, we'll go look at the gold rock prefab, which is using cobble rock A, and we'll look at the gold mining node. We will reset the box size on this to 0.5111, and then we will pull in cobble rock A. We'll reset the transform on cobble rock A and look at the gold mining node. Cobble rock A is about twice as big as it needs to be, so we'll just temporarily set that down 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, and now it fits perfectly within the box. And we can see these like little like things that look like maybe it's a vein of gold coming out of there. Perfect. So what we will do is remember that the scale is 0.5 on cobble rock A. Then we will go to the gold rock prefab, set the scale down to 0.5. And now we actually want to place these in the game somewhere. So to do that, I'm going to go to the mana seal, which is our level in the desert. And in the mana seal, we actually already have some mining nodes here, but we'll add some more basically. So let's see. The mining nodes are here, here, and here. So we will add more, mining nodes over here. So let's go place some gold right here, middle click, and we want a gold mining node. We'll pull that into the scene and then hit Control Alt F, so it'll go right where we just middle clicked. And why don't we add a second gold mining node hiding in here. So we'll sort of go down to the bottom right here, Control Alt F, Control D, Control Alt F, there, right. Okay, perfect. So now we got a couple gold mining nodes. So let's save the game here. And then let's go back to the load game manager. We'll press play. And we'll go find somebody who's near the mana seal that can go harvest this stuff. I think I have my level 15 warrior is actually in the mana seal zone right now. So here's the yellow mining crystals. Those are really cool. We can pick up some more yellow crystals while we're over here. But what we really want is to go find some gold. There we go. Look at this. This is our shiny gold rock. We can mine it. And we get some gold ore. Wow, that was really neat the way my character like disappeared into the ground there. Let's try this again. I think it's just the angle she was on or something, but like, yeah, cool. Cool, cool. We got some gold ore now. Awesome. So I think that's good. I think we have done everything that we started off this episode hoping and intending to do. We now have multiple tiers of ingots. Those ingots are used for different recipes. We can put anything in our hands. If I'm crafting like a necklace, I can actually put the necklace in my hand. If I'm crafting a sword, I can actually put like the physical sword in my hand now while I'm crafting it. I'm super happy with that, and you know, thank you to everybody who published these asset packs, the HD Icons pack, the Fantasy Treasure pack, the Mega Fantasy pack, the Action Spear, the Real Materials, the Flooded Grounds, Yughues Free Rocks, and the Sun Temple. Thank you all. I hope you enjoyed that, and if you did, as always, don't forget to thumbs up the video, subscribe to the AnyRPG YouTube channel, or just leave a note in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.